Someone very profoundly once said many years ago that if fascism ever comes to America, it'll come in the name of liberalism.
Oh, beautiful, full spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, for purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed His grace on thee, and crown thy good with.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Patriots and Petticoats, it is my pleasure to welcome you aboard Flight 1776 with service to the United States of America and continuing service to a more perfect union. Federal regulations require that carry-on items are stowed prior to closing the aircraft door. Your items may be placed in an overhead compartment or completely under the seat in front of you. Use caution when placing items in or removing them from the overhead compartment, and let us know if we may assist you. In order to expedite the boarding process, please be seated as quickly as possible after stowing your items and take a moment to review the Constitution and Declaration of Independence located on the device in your pocket. If you are unable or unwilling to perform the functions as described on those documents, please let us know and we will find a more suitable destination for you. Thank you for joining us, and we look forward to spending our evening with you. What is up, everybody? Welcome to Patriots and Petticoats. I am one of your co-hosts, Heather, literally Heather to many people, and I have Eric with me this evening. We sadly are missing Chris from the show this evening. He is traveling for a new job. So I think he's in the chat, though, so he'll be joining us this evening to chime in, even though he can't be here visually. So thank you guys so much for joining us on Sunday evening and making us a part of your weekend. We appreciate it. We have a full show for you today, full of things for us to talk about. Eric,
love talking about things.
I have really interesting news, though. The entire chat worth of stuff that I had is no longer here. So, thankfully, I kept it all on another location, so that's okay.
Wow.
You just won't know what we're going to talk about.
That's a level of preparation.
We are going to start off with the absolutely spectacular Joe Biden faceplant that took place.
Oh, that was great.
Yeah, so
that was his best one yet, better than the bike.
Do we think there was actually a sandbag there? Like, is that something we believe?
Is that what they're saying? No.
Yes. I watched the playback. Okay, so let's talk about this like very seriously for a moment. He is running for president for what will be 4 years, right? So that's another 2.5 years from now. That's 6 years that we're expecting him to be cognitively aware,
already
able.
Oldest president ever right now.
Right, exactly. And so at what point does this become elderly abuse? Like if you or I were doing this to a grandparent?
I was just going to say, if this was my grandpa, I would be talking to my parents about, we need to take his keys away.
Yeah,
he
absolutely.
Can't be driving. Like, we can't have him, like, we maybe need to talk about live-in care. Like, he needs round-the-clock attention.
Yes. So why is it different for president of the United States? Like, seems insane to me.
I don't know. I mean, he got the job under the pretense that he was, had all his faculties about him.
Right.
And now he's shown us time and time again that he's not fit to be a greeter at Walmart, let alone the president of the United States. But I mean, and then people say into microphones, well, he's the smartest person I know. He's very sharp. Like, just because you say that doesn't make it true.
Doesn't make it true. Yeah. And he may have been, and maybe he is, right? I think that sometimes it's a misnomer that because you carry yourself well or you can speak well, that you're an intelligent individual. That can be, you could be presenting yourself that way, but you're not actually smart. You're just really good at regurgitating stuff. But he's not even good at that. Like, he's not even good giving a speech, if that makes sense.
No. And how are the Democrats okay with not having debates? I feel like even they would want a debate among
I don't
their
think the citizenry is. I don't think the Democratic voter is happy
Yeah.
about no debates, but I think the Democratic Party is happy about no debates.
How can you do that? That's un-American.
It is.
You
So one of the things that I had up to talk about today is this situation with Robert Kennedy. So so not only has the DNC said, okay, you know what, we're not having debates. In addition to that, Facebook's Meta removed Robert Kennedy's profile from Instagram.
Oh, he's getting burnied.
Yeah. So now you have the powers that be actively pretty much like working against you the way they did it work against Republicans, right? In the last 8 years or whatever. So really cool though. Elon Musk put a tweet out today and said Robert Kennedy's going to do a live space answering questions and interacting with people.
Nice.
And Elon's hosting it. So that's like game changer. Putting yourself, because if I were to make an argument, and audience can correct me if I'm wrong, I would argue that Twitter is the political arena.
Yeah, it's the public square now.
I think that Facebook still has political debate, but it's more like you fighting with your cousin Ida that you can't stand, right? Like it's more familial, it's more personal, whereas Twitter is just global. You're fighting with and interacting with and debating with people from all over the world, and you really don't even have any clue who they are.
Yeah, or if they're even real. It's
okay, big
it's a
facts
better
there.
way. Twitter's a better way to get your finger on the pulse of what people are actually feeling.
Right,
Than Facebook, I
absolutely.
think.
Okay, I'm going to go through chat real quick. I don't want to get behind like I did last week. I felt terrible about that. Patriot Sports Radio, what up, fam? That is Chris.
I've heard of them.
Hello, Chris, in the state that you were in. I don't want to dox you or say where you're at, but Jake, yay, it's good to see you. What a slacker. Slacker Chris isn't here. Yep. He could chime in on in his hotel,
Literally
but he's choosing not to. We see how it is.
Oh wow.
No, Chris, literally unwatchable.
Wow.
Joey,
I thought we had something special.
What? This oh, my heart hurts. No, there was a pic from another angle and there wasn't a visible sandbag.
Verdict?
Ouch.
No sandbag.
Oh my gosh. Did you watch the replay and watch the female cadet who's standing there and she's even got her hands like, okay, I might help you, but then she's like, no. And she just turns around and walks away.
The crowd seemed to react as I would have. They were laughing and cheering, mocking him.
Which is sad. That's sad. Like, I don't like Joe Biden. I think he's destroying our country, but I'm still an empathetic human being. Like, I feel bad for what's happening to him.
How do other world leaders feel when they see our president fall and then his countrymen laugh at him?
Yeah, we look so weak on the world stage.
Incredibly. The damage done in just 2 years is remarkable.
Yeah. Time to Zapruder film the fall. But seriously, I can't see a sandbag.
Why would there be a sandbag?
Yeah, I don't know. Joey also said RFK Jr. was not actually a threat. Now the Democrats are going to make him a threat. Yeah, like if you'd have just had the debate and let him present himself.
Yeah, I wasn't going to listen before him, and now that you don't want me to listen to him, I'm going to listen even harder.
Yep, exactly. Kennedy's getting erased by the libs. At least they're not deleting him.
Oh.
Well, give
Are
her a
they
few
gonna
minutes.
do? Are they gonna do Kennedy like they did Tulsi? Just like you're not part of the club. You're not left enough.
Maybe.
I would not have hated a Tulsi Gabbard presidency in 2020.
Oh, you and I would fight. Oh God. Don't get the chat started. They know how much I hate Tulsi Gabbard. This is gonna be terrible. I can't believe you said those words on the show. This is awful.
Oh,
No, she's a socialist, Eric.
to a degree.
No,
Yeah.
not to a degree.
She's also
Oh.
about minding your own business. I'm big on that.
She's about minding your own
Globally.
business as long as you're still footing the bill for everybody who isn't doing it for themselves.
Yeah, you're right. I shouldn't have said it.
Yeah, we're not going to be friends if Tulsi enters the arena in any way, shape, or form in the
That's how bad
future
things are right
of our
now.
show. I love you, but I'll be mad at you. Jake said, I have no empathy for people trying to demonize me and steal my freedom. Fair point, Jake. Joy said he needs to stay out of hotels in LA. Who does? Joe Biden?
Perhaps Christopher.
Tulsi is a hot. Shut up, Jake.
He is.
God
Oh,
damn
gray
it.
streak. That gray streak isn't real.
As
She
lo-
put that in to look distinguished. Still kind of hot though. She surfs. Did you know she surfs?
Oh, RFK Jr. needs to stay out of hotels in LA.
Yes.
Gotcha. Okay. So, I do want to talk about this banning situation though. So it's an automatic 180-day ban. Like
Whoa.
they were establishing the account. It wasn't even like that he did anything wrong. It was automatic when he tried to start the account.
Wow.
And so
I mean, how is that different from a country that just puts people in power? Like that's not American.
Right. So in response, when RFK put that tweet out, Musk wrote, "Would you like to do a spaces discussion with me next week?" And then Kennedy agreed. So it's going to be Monday at 2.
Yeah, they may have created a monster here.
I know. I hope that it, well, there's a part of me that hopes that it functions better than it did when DeSantis made his announcement.
Oh.
But if it doesn't fuck up like it did when DeSantis made his announcement, then you're going to see all of the hardcore DeSantis fans. You're throttling conservative reach on the spaces and you're not doing it for the Democrats. And that's what it'll be the entire timeline for Monday.
There are some real Looney Tunes on both sides. Like,
Can we talk about that for a minute? It is so, the dichotomy where they're forcing you to fight is so bad between both sides. Like they're acting insane at this point. And they don't even see it. And then if you say one thing positive for one side or one thing positive for the other side, you get lambasted.
You're banished.
They're like, yeah. It's just like you have Laura Loomer out there trashing Casey DeSantis. Like, well, I don't know if she actually had cancer. I haven't seen her medical records. And it's like,
what kind of a thing is that to say?
Like, who are you thinking that that's a positive for the man that you're leading the charge for?
Just running the risk that, it's legit and you look like a real asshole. Like, why would you put that out there?
I guess she doesn't care. She thinks that that's like, I think she's trying to like channel Trump, but it just doesn't come across that way.
No.
Okay. Jake says, don't kill my dreams, Eric. Is that because of the silver streak?
I think so.
Tulsi is a polita thought number 1. Thank you, Joey. I agree wholeheartedly. Also, everyone remember Robert Kennedy was yeeted in the Ambassador Hotel in LA, right? I'll take my highbrow gallows humor elsewhere. I didn't know that happened. Why was he kicked out? Fill us in.
I assumed someone had been Clintoned in an LA hotel and that was why he was saying that.
I thought
which
that maybe
someone
he was
probably
having
has.
like gay trysts with somebody or something.
Uh,
Like I thought maybe there was inappropriate behavior. I'm not sure what happened. Joey, you'll have to fill us in. Um so anyway, back to the Kennedy thing. After he was banned, Kennedy said that Instagram posts raised legitimate concerns about vaccine and were backed by research. His account was banned just days after Facebook and Instagram announced they would block the spread of what they described as misinformation about vaccines. So this was before, and now he's trying to set up like his campaign account, and they won't let
mhm.
him set it up without a 180-day ban.
I haven't heard anybody bug me to get a vaccine or a booster in a while. Are they just quietly done with that?
Speaking of which, I think it's on. Oh, I didn't put it on the list for tonight. But so the CDC has, or I'm sorry, not the CDC, the FDA has removed the, um, I guess, authorization for the Johnson and Johnson vaccine.
Oh.
And it's not because of efficacy or anything like that. It's because Johnson and Johnson was like, nobody is requesting to get boosters or drugs or anything. It's a waste of time for us to continue to produce this drug. They're all expiring and nobody's taking them. So we're not going to
Nice.
produce them anymore. So, in addition to that, I also saw an article when I was preparing for the show tonight. Um, it came out that the COVID vaccines, like the more boosters you get, the more damage you're doing to your immune system. It's
Oh.
making you more vulnerable to things like cancer,
Hmm.
um, something else. Now, I will say I didn't read the study, so I don't know like how many people it was that this was done on or whatever. Like I'm not saying with 100% veracity that that's the case, but in the article that I read, it seemed well researched that it's if you the more boosters that you've gotten, the more susceptible you are to chronic
You know,
illnesses.
that seems to line up more with the things I've seen in the real world than what I was told previous to this.
Right. And where is the reconciliation to that, right? Like where are the apologies or the people coming out and saying we were wrong, the admissions of being incorrect?
Anybody who didn't come out publicly and push vaccines and mask mandates and stuff, they're all gonna claim they were on this side of the fence.
You can't. Like there's so many receipts out there at this point. No one can say that and feel like they're saying it with
That's
any
true.
level of honesty.
That's true.
Like I I think I even saw a thread Friday or Thursday maybe where it was like an accounting. It's like, let's go back and look at what you were saying about
How you
vaccines.
felt about it.
Yeah,
Oh, yeah, you can go back to 2020 and you'll see me saying the mental health and the overdoses and the suicides that are gonna come from this will
the financial
far wipe
destruction
out.
of the
Yes,
country.
people are
Yeah.
losing their jobs, like, what are you guys taught? This is insane. We need to
Yes.
stop right now. Holy shit, kids aren't even at risk. Can we let them go to school? Like,
Yeah.
it was all ki I'm a high school educated person. Like, I'm
Right.
not a genius. I live in a small town. I could just look out the window and see these things and know them. Like, I can't believe people were convinced of the polar opposite, really. The
You
air's
know,
poison.
I think there were probably for me like 3 or 4 things that were done through COVID that are like unforgivable. The first is the financial destruction, right? Like what you did to small businesses, how you shifted the entire economy to,
Yep,
a very
corporations.
finite few people are still able to like remain open and remain profitable. The second thing is what you did to kids, like their grades, their mental fortitude, all of that stuff. The third thing that in my opinion is less discussed is the background damage that you did to the healthcare industry and the public trust of that industry.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah.
you know, I imagine that I mean, don't get me wrong, COVID was fucking bad. It was a biological thing that was created to harm people. Like they were fucking with it and genetically engineering it to be a bioweapon. You can't
Yeah.
convince me of anything otherwise. It was accidentally let loose and it killed a lot of fucking people. Not just because the virus was so bad, but because of the response to the virus. Like, they were putting all these people on ventilators that didn't actually need to be put on ventilators, and they ended up
Ventilators are
dying.
killing people left and right.
Right. And so, and I said, and anybody that's been following me or listening to my spaces or anything like that, one of the arguments that I made early on was that this was being engineered to take out the most vulnerable population, the people who were the most dependent. So, unhealthy individuals, elderly individuals, weak infants, like young, very young individuals. Like, it was
People
specifically,
requiring money from the government.
yes, yes, in all countries. It was almost like a coordinated effort. We're going to accidentally leak this out, and then it's going to take care of
Well, it
everybody's.
sure would be convenient.
Yep. So I argued that from the beginning. I have no proof of that. So I'm sure this will be taken off of fucking YouTube at some point in time because of it. But the crazy thing is that now, if the government came out and told you a virus has been let loose, we need you all to put masks on, this is really dangerous, we have a shot to inoculate you, you must go
cried
do
wolf.
this now. Would anybody listen to them at this point?
They
No.
burned so many bridges and used so many cards on this
Yes.
that trust is gone for generations.
They burnt every
Like-
bit of trust capital that they had with the country from a medical perspective.
The black population already wasn't taking the vaccinations because they were burned in the 1940s.
Yep.
So the trust is gone now
Yeah.
with everybody.
Now, you'll still have, it's crazy. Ainsley and I were standing in the store yesterday, and this mother and this daughter had one of those masks on that was like, that's pinched in the front, makes them look like they're ducks or something.
Yep.
And Ainsley looked at me and she was like, Mama, there are people still wearing masks.
In their 20s, like healthy people.
Yeah. Yeah. This was a girl maybe 12 years old. Her mother was making her wear a mask on her face.
That kid has no shot.
Yeah. And I'm like, those people will still take whatever the government tells them to because they trust the government. They trust these people. But the yous and me's of the world that probably, if you had come out and said, hey, we aren't sure what this is, we're really worried about it, here's our best, this is what we think your best choice is to try to like mitigate your, if that had been the response, I probably would have been like, okay, I'll put a mask on outside just to be safe, whatever. But this like forceful, like, you must comply.
So, wait a second. Why do you need to put the boot on us for this? Like, why isn't common sense? Like, why can't you just talk to us like grown-ups?
Yeah.
And explain to, are you worried that maybe this isn't necessary, but for some reason you need us to do it anyway? I don't know. Somewhere there was a nerd, some evil nerd writing down like what percentage of people, get in line immediately, what percentage of people need to be pushed a little, and what percentage of people just are never going to come around, and we need to hit them with drones or whatever. But
didn't Hillary Clinton say that about Julian Assange? She's like, I would drone him if I could. I'm like, who says that about somebody?
He's exactly the kind of dude she likes to drone.
Speaking of government boots, I know, obviously. Oh, okay, hold on. We got chat stuff here real quick.
Oh yeah.
Joey said, that was the yeeted LA hotel, said Trump is just trying to destroy the Republicans' chance if he doesn't get the nomination.
I would believe, that seems like him.
How so though? Like, I'm not supporting Trump. You guys all know I'm on the Vivek Ramaswamy train. That's who I'm voting for in the primary right now. He's got my vote right now. He has to lose it. But how is Trump trying to destroy the Republicans' chance? How does Robert Kennedy play a role in that? I need an explanation on that. Bobby Kennedy was assassinated in an LA hotel. Hence to why his son needs to stay out of LA hotels. Got it. Gotcha.
Sirhan.
I have okay. Full admission here. I've never followed like the Kennedy assassination drama. Like I can only tell you one Kennedy that was murdered and how it was done. Like I've never followed the rest of it. I know it's like some big conspiratorial thing where all the Kennedys just keep getting murdered and
Sirhan. He was like a Manchurian candidate type guy.
Well, I mean, he came out and publicly said, these governmental institutions are far overreaching their bounds in the government. We need to probably start looking at dialing that back. And they're like, bye. Like,
yeah. What did
can't
say
take
about our line?
Our money away. We can't have that happening. Fucking CIA is going to show up at my house tomorrow.
Goddamn power brokers.
About a Kennedy on your show.
Yep.
Okay.
Red flag.
Boots on necks. Oh my God, Eric, did you see the choir that was singing in the statuary hall?
No.
Okay. So there's this choir, and I can't remember the name of it. I'll find it in a little bit, but they were taking a tour of the Capitol. They had gotten permission from 3 different congressmen. They were working with 3 different congressmen out of South Carolina's offices, had permission from the Speaker of the House. So now you've got 4 congressional members, including the Speaker, that has authorized this for them to sing. Okay. And there was like a whole performance that they were going to do where they were going to sing patriotic songs. They were singing the national. Do what?
As one does.
Right, yeah. And so they're singing in the statuary hall, which traditionally is not a place that you sing or whatever. But they had prior permission. So they went through their entire tour. So now they're giving their performance at their last room stop or whatever.
This is their big moment.
Right.
Quadruple authorized.
Yes. So they're singing and they make it through the first verse of the national anthem, which apparently, I didn't know this, but there are a lot of fucking people in the country who don't realize that the national anthem is like 5 verses. Like it's a very long song. That first little rendition that you hear at a sporting event is only the first verse of the national anthem. So a choir is singing like the formal Francis Scott Key representation of the national anthem. And they make it, I don't know, maybe 3/4 of the way through the second verse. And you see this Capitol Police member like frantically on the phone, gesturing. And she gets someone to go over and tell the conductor to end the performance. And supposedly, there is no documentation, there's no proof, but supposedly one of the reasons was, number one, that could be considered a protest, a form of protest, and number 2, that it could be offensive to someone. And
then you're in the wrong place.
They were not permitted to continue their performance that was prior approved. And so the Capitol Police comes out and they're like, in spite, this staffer knew that they weren't supposed to do this. Shame on her for letting the choir move forward with the process.
Oh.
They were being escorted by one of the congressman's staffers. And the Capitol Police still shut them down.
What
yeah, a super sad situation. Could you imagine?
How old are these kids?
That's what I was going to say. These were like 7 to 10-year-olds.
Oh,
like very
come on!
Children. Extremely young kids.
In my head, they were high schoolers, and that was bad enough.
Right. Like,
little
yes,
kids?
no. These were little kids, like Ainsley's age.
Protest? What are they protesting?
How is the national anthem in the fucking Capitol building offensive to anyone?
What happened?
And so then they had to come out and release another statement and say, well, due to a miscommunication, they did have approval to do the performance, but we didn't know that. So that's why we ended the performance.
How about just let them finish their song and figure it out later?
No
Couldn't
shit.
you have done that?
And
Can't you
so
do that?
could you imagine being one of those children who worked and worked and worked all year long, and you finally have your moment, and the
Oh,
government comes
yep.
in and silences you on your own fucking national anthem?
They just radicalized 3 or 4 of those kids.
All of them.
They
How could
they
all
just
of them not
created a
be like,
couple
"What the
Timmy McVeighs by shutting that shit down, like, "Oh,
school?"
okay.
Like, they're gonna be
So
singing,
this
like,
is what
"School's
the
out for
government
summer."
does.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
lets me almost reach my dreams, and then it stomps on me and throws me out of the building.
Well, can't put that on my college application.
Yep.
Fuck you, Joe Biden. Like you're looking at, oh God, long-term ramifications for little
Unreal.
kids.
What is the harm? What were you saving everyone from?
I'll have to find the clip and play it for you at some point in time or send it to you. But my question is, like, what does that look like? Do we see lawsuits come out of this? Like, that's government shutting down speech in a
Yeah,
public building. That's paid for by those kids' parents. So, do we
sure
see
is.
legal action?
Should. There's gotta
Yeah.
be a couple pro bono lawyers who would love to do that.
I would love to see that.
That's some
Jake
good
says
publicity.
completely trashing DeSantis. There's no, hey, we're competitors, but we're on the same team. It's full attack, anyone over everything. I do agree with that. It has been, and I will say, you've seen DeSantis kind of move into kind of a defensive position. He has not like full on attacked Donald Trump yet, though. It'll be interesting to see I mean, fuck. We have a year and almost 2 years left of this.
Do you think that screaming person that he had thrown out was a plant?
By Trump?
No, by DeSantis, so he could say, "You're not gonna come in our schools," and have his moment. Did you see that? There was
I
some
saw
kind
the
of
DeSantis speech.
activist screaming at him that got dragged out.
Maybe because one of the it's very possible. One of the arguments against DeSantis is that he's not charismatic, that he doesn't have
Uh,
like any sort of like charisma or compelling like personality that really drives you to want to vote for him or support
he's gotta
him.
be he's gotta be careful with that, though. You gotta stay natural. You can't try to be Trump or
It
something like
Yeah,
that.
and it did look forced because originally he responded and then it was Lon and then she was taken out and then he was like, "Oh wait, I'm going to try to capitalize on this." And it
That
felt
yeah.
disingenuous.
Yeah, maybe it was a real heckler, and then he sort of made it artificial there at the end. Well, you're like a ninja with the cough button. I hope to one day be that good.
It's just I don't know. It's from doing my morning show. Like I right there for that like what fucking 6 months that I was sick. I
Yeah,
I didn't wanna edit my show so much, so I just, like, real quick, I'd just get really fast with the mute button so I wouldn't have to, like, go back and
boom.
re-edit.
You've developed a skill.
Joey, Saran
Ah!
just got released because of Gavin's COVID policies.
Oh, that's funny.
MB says, "Has great acoustics in that hall." Heck yeah, it does.
I bet.
Jake says, "I think DeSantis will keep it classy. That's one of his big draws over Trump." I agree. And I also think we're talking about Trump trying to like drag DeSantis through the mud or whatever. I think where we could see some coalition would be through Casey and Melania. I think that
Mhm.
the two of them remain classy and cordial with one another, but Melania has a really good RBF. Like she can look like a total and complete bitch if she wants to.
Mhm.
So that might not work. But I could see them being the joiner. Like I could see the two of them
Sounds
kind of
hot.
making Did you say that's hot? I hate you. Huh. Don't do a show with Eric because then he's just worried about what we need to find Eric a girlfriend, guys.
Yep. One of those nice ones.
Um So the Okay. So we're always talking about like this whole cultural Marxism, government coming in and doing this kind of stuff, right? So the Department of Education issued a Pride Month promise
Oh,
to
sheesh.
public schools. So Vivek Ramaswamy and Marjorie Taylor Greene have called for the agency's entire dissolution because of its ideology, which, that's fair.
Yeah.
But
I
um,
saw a rainbow billboard for Aurora Healthcare today. Did you know that gay people can get healthcare now? Isn't that amazing? I mean, I'm really happy for them.
Joey, did you know you can get healthcare
If you
now
got
because
anything
it's
going on, you can
June?
get that fixed, at least at Aurora anyway. They're
Oh, that's
cool.
fucking crazy, man.
I'm like, can we get it. We love everybody. We're cool. We were
Yeah.
cool.
Wait, what was that thing that you sent? Hold on, I'm gonna pull it up on Discord because it was really true. Um. Okay, so the post says for the audience, it says, "Wishing all the homophobes a super uncomfortable month." And
I thought, isn't that the point?
yeah, like it's not about your acceptance. It's about you intruding, imposing, and making other people uncomfortable.
Yes.
And
So that
uh,
you feel better? I don't know.
right, like what
I don't know
is
what you
that
get from
like
that.
your step up to make you feel better? Like it's just and I
Because
every
the
time I see something like this and like every time I see one of these fucking BLM people, these pride people, these trans people, whatever, every time anybody with this identity politics like threshold that they're living under, every time I see it, I'm like, what if we traded out the words and put white people in there instead? What if we turned this around and said, thank goodness it's White Pride Month to make all you other fuckers feel uncomfortable? How would that be received? Like, would you appreciate
not
that?
well. No.
Yeah, no. I mean, I I
No,
would
as a
even
white person, I would not appreciate that.
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Like,
It
I
would make
would
me
feel
uncomfortable.
uncomfortable about that messaging. That's wrong. And it's just frustrating to me that there are exceptions and allowances made for the same behavior because of identity politics. It's incredibly fucking
You
frustrating.
can tell by how the goalposts move that it's always about that. It's like, "Oh, everybody's cool with this?
Yep.
Alright, well, how about this? I
Yep.
bet
Let's take
this
it one
makes
step
you
further.
uncomfortable."
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, Jake said Trump literally sided with Cuomo's COVID policy.
Where he
Listen,
shoved the
I am
old
not a
people in the
Casey DeSantis is queen. No choice but to stan. Let's hope DeSantis doesn't try a Howard Dean
Ooh,
scream.
I could see
Let's hope he
that.
doesn't do a Joe Biden, like, yeah, like, you know how, like, Joe Biden will whisper, and then he'll say and then he gets really angry, but he doesn't look like he's impassioned, he just looks like he's an old man yelling at you
He
to get
looks
off his
like that,
yard.
he looks like that old man puppet that the stand-up comedian guy has.
Yes. Oh god, what is his name?
What is that guy's name? D Dun
Dunham?
Dun
Dunham?
Dun
Jeff
Jeff
Dunham?
Dunham. Yep, we got there.
Um, Joey says, "No way, huh? Guess they were having me fill out benefits paperwork for guys." Guess that's why they were having me fill out benefits paperwork.
Yep, all legal.
Walter is the name of the puppet.
Ah, yes.
Yes. And isn't there Ahmed? Isn't that
Yep,
the other one? Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay, so back to the LGBTQ school statement. So here is what
2A
was
plus.
tweeted out. This was tweeted out by the Department of Education, okay? Everyone in the school community should feel valued for who they are
You
and
matter.
free to be their authentic self. Our
You belong.
message to LGBTQI plus students, teachers, and staff as we begin hashtag Pride Month.
Except for
ED has
intrigued.
yeah, ED has got your back. This was posted on June 1st. So as long as you're gay, we've got your back.
Yep. I don't understand why. I don't feel the need to tell everyone that I prefer to sleep with women. Like, that's not it's not who I am. It's just part of my biology. You know, it's
why is your sexuality being talked about by the fucking Department of Education?
yeah. And why can't I hire strippers and send them into an elementary school? Why would that be
Right.
frowned upon?
Yeah. By the
Yeah, it's a
way,
lot of tax dollars.
the I in the acronym now stands for intersex. Intersex
Not
people
sure I
are
wanna
born with
know.
rare genetic mutations that give them male and female sex organs.
Back in my day, you know, I guess you gotta account for everybody. You gotta account for absolutely
What was the
everybody.
plus for? Like, could we just be like LGBT
What, right?
plus?
Doesn't that cover the plus?
Yeah,
Right?
isn't
Can't
the
we
I
be
in the plus?
LGBTQ? Wasn't it LGBTQ? Lesbian, bisexual,
Lesbian,
gay,
lesbian, gay, bi,
bisexual,
queer.
queer. Yes. And they stuck the T in there in the mid, like it wasn't the most recent
Q got
one.
rejected and put
Yeah.
even all the way to the end.
They kicked the Q down to the end to make the T look like it had always been there.
Yep.
Yeah. No. LGBTQ plus. We're good.
Joey said, "Hey Heather, what kind of health insurance would you sell gays?" No.
In
HOMO. Jake's laughing. Chris is chilling in the McDonald's line. Get me a Big Mac. I'm hangry.
I got the worst McDonald's burger I've ever had today.
What'd you get?
It's my fault. I went to a truck stop McDonald's off the freeway. But I mean, I got it burger hanging halfway out of the box with a little bit of a pickle sticking out. Opened up the box. Burger is bottom bun fully saturated with grease. It was like they hated me.
Was it a
It
quarter
was a
pounder?
hate crime. Yeah. That burger was a hate crime.
They just wanted to give you a heart attack.
Yep.
In one burger.
Well, they failed because I ate just enough to not be starving, and then I threw it in the garbage.
It's no longer
Rainbow
Pride Month.
Ramadan.
It's Rainbow Ramadan. It's because it's a religion.
Yep.
If we could be sued for having religion in schools, we need to raise a huge stink for this protected class shoving this crap down our kids' throats in school.
Correct.
I forgot to talk about this. So I took the kids to the library yesterday.
Good for you.
And so in the downstairs section is like the kids section. So they have the way our library is. So all adults, fiction, nonfiction, everything is upstairs. And then downstairs in the basement, you have like the archival, like historical stuff, like where it's got all of your, it's like all of your Indiana history. And then they've got like these dioramas that move, and it's like real cool, like history stuff down there.
Nice.
And then you go into this section, and then they have like the toddler through about, I don't know, maybe 3rd or 4th grade section. And then they have the teen section, or tween teen, like usually from like 10
Where
and
the
up.
Twilight books are.
Right, yeah. So Ainsley, her reading level is way higher than the toddler to whatever room.
Have we been lowering our reading level? Because it seems like the smart kids are reading at a high school level in middle school.
Yeah, Ainsley's reading at a collegiate level now.
Nice.
So
he's gonna be a fucking gold medalist and a valedictorian.
Listen to me. It makes it really hard though, because her reading level is beyond her, or what I feel comfortable with content, with what she's reading. So like I have to pre-screen every book that she reads. Like I'm sitting there pulling up on, like she'll be like, "Ooh, this looks good. I'd like to read this." And I'm like, pulling up Google, reading like the preview or whatever, especially after that entire thread that I did of those books that
Yeah.
shouldn't be available or whatever. Now I freak out about everything. Like I'm like, what are you hiding inside this book? What's in here that my kids shouldn't read?
Yeah.
So anyway, so we were getting ready to go in Finnegan's section, and they've got like a little house that he can play in and a little supermarket and stuff. So he does like the playtime stuff, and then we'll go grab about 4 or 5 books and leave. Well, on our way in the remember what age demographic, right? On our way into Finnegan's section, they have this massive display of ABC 1, 2, 3, I'm gay. Like, and it's, I'm not fucking kidding you. I'm dead serious. I almost took a fucking picture of it, and I wish that I would have now.
Oh, I can't believe you didn't.
It was just like all of this. And Ainsley, I have to like kind of watch her a little bit because she's starting to become like bigoted. And I'm like, Ainsley, you can't do that. I'm like, people can make whatever decisions they want for themselves, but you don't have to participate in it. Like trying to teach her that fine line between live and let live, and
Yeah.
you don't have to do it yourself. And she she was like, why would they even put that there? Why should my little brother be looking at those books? She's like, you should take a picture of it. You should post it on Twitter and show everybody that that's what's at our library. Like she was so angry about it. And I was like, honey. And she watched What is a Woman this weekend with me. And like
Yeah.
she's like angry about all of it. And the reason that it's so she can be aware, right? Like so that as she's going through school, if she can recognize things that she feels uncomfortable with and feel confident in expressing her discomfort so that she
Yeah.
can speak for herself in those moments when I'm not there to do it for her. And so that we can talk about those issues. I think that's another huge problem is that these kids are having these conversations with people who don't have a vested interest in letting their child formulate their own opinions rather than projecting them onto them.
It's
So,
more important to create another little soldier.
right. And so I want her to be exposed to that stuff so that she can ask questions, so that she can understand what's going on and formulate her own opinions. And so I can put her in check so that
Sounds
she
like
doesn't
she
look
is.
at the next gay kid that she sees and say, "Why are you gay? You shouldn't be gay." Like I need her to not be that kid either, right? Like
Yeah.
don't be a fucking bully. Like we
Yeah.
need to there's a different way to handle this. So anyway, but I
How
had to
can a
explain
kid
to
have a
her.
sexual preference at Finnegan's age? Like, what are we
Right.
doing?
Yeah. But
At
I
the
tried
I
to
think we lose sight of the fact that we're talking about a sexual preference.
correct.
Like, this isn't a race
Right.
or, it's a sexual preference. Kids don't have those. Little kids don't have those.
No. And but also at the same time, I had to explain to Ainsley that those books can be placed on display, but you don't have to read them. You don't have to pick up the book that you don't feel comfortable with. You don't have to be exposed to it. You can walk past it. You can choose a different book for yourself.
Now that I think about it, I was probably like 7 when I decided.
That you like girls.
Yeah.
Well, Finn's 3.
Yeah, that's not
Yeah. No.
that time.
Okay, let's see. Free dating advice, don't eat McDonald's.
Yeah.
Thanks for coming to my TED Talk. Jake, what about McDonald's breakfast?
Ooh,
It's the best
number
breakfast out there.
number 2 with an extra hash brown
Well, I
and a
lied.
ketchup packet.
Chick-fil-A is the best breakfast.
I've never had Chick-fil-A breakfast. We don't have a Chick-fil-A, so I've only been there in like the afternoon after work times when I'm
Oh my
traveling around.
gosh.
I
You're
didn't know
just
they had
really missing
breakfast.
out. They have these chicken minis with these honey biscuits on top of them. You're gonna have to make a special like Saturday trip.
Do they have egg products or is it all like breakfast
No,
chicken
yeah, they do.
sandwiches?
They have like egg sandwiches. They've got
I like
egg on
that.
chicken, all sorts like chicken on chicken.
Whoa.
Joey says, Anne Heather, give her unabridged classics, Dickens, Mary Shelley, not too much objectionable content, and highly
Well, Edgar
worthwhile
Allan
literary.
Poe. My mom was really into Edgar Allan Poe and what's that band? There's some band that's synonymous with Edgar Allan Poe. Alan Parsons Project. And she had like the complete works of Edgar Allan Poe. And I read that in 5th grade. It messed me up a little. It's too young.
See, that's what I'm saying.
Too
Like,
young for the Pit and the Pendulum.
she just read, so she read Dracula, Frankenstein, and then something else. And she was kind of freaked out a little bit, I think, because it was a graphic novel. So, of course, it was gory. Have Ainsley read classics. Good kid. She's a pretty decent kid. I kind of love
Yeah.
her a little bit.
She's
I'm
gonna
making her
work
go
at
to summer
Patriot
school.
Sports one day.
Do what?
She's gonna work at Patriot Sports one day. She's gonna be our Olympic reporter.
Speaking of which, I am being pressured very heavily right now. So, like, her dream is to obviously be an Olympian. Like, that's what she wants. But like, her secondary portion of that dream is to like go to France and play music. Like, she wants to go play the violin in France, like in
Wow.
an orchestra.
She's a Renaissance
And
girl.
so the Olympics are being hosted in France. And her two coaches just bought like their tickets to go watch the gymnastics in Paris. And Ainsley's
Oh.
like, I really want to go to Paris and watch the Olympics. And I'm like, I'm going to have to sell a lot of fucking guns to make that happen. So
Yeah.
if you guys are interested, I posted some deals on Twitter today for Palmetto State Armory. So the Department of Education also changed its Twitter icon to include the progress flag, which uses the
good.
light blue, pink, and white stripes to represent transgender and non-binary people. So, but here's my thing. Like, I want to talk about this, right? Like, why is a government institution
Concerning themselves with this at all?
with identity politics, education? Like, that's what you are. Why isn't your profile picture like a book? Or Chris is into the
Literally.
chat, everybody. Finally in the hotel. France will be in a civil war by then, and pedos.
Our show in a nutshell.
Yeah. Oh man.
Oh, I love hanging out with you.
It says thousands of replies condemned the Department of Education for supporting a movement that encourages children to consider sex change. Teach math and science. Stop trying to groom kids. This
There you go.
explains why 1 in 10 children in public schools will be sexually assaulted by a public school employee before they graduate.
1 in 10?
Yes.
Holy shit. 1 in 100 would be a lot.
Yeah. 1 in 10.
By someone who works at the school?
So there's Chris's comments. Pedo.
That's the thing. You gotta watch people who want a job working with kids. They're either an amazing angel of a human being or the worst person ever.
And you know what? Like, I had this debate, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts on this, because so there's an increase in women that are offenders, women teachers who are having sexual relationships with male students, 16-year-olds, whatever. There's a popular Twitter user named Felicia Killings who changed the spelling of her name. She had a sexual relationship with a 16-year-old in California, and now she's like this Jesus, writing books, like all this like great, taking money from people, grifting on the internet, and hiding behind a locked account so that nobody can expose her for the fact that she is sexually assault or did sexually assault a
Wow.
young boy. But my question to you is I feel like the treatment is different. I feel like when a woman does it, the typical response from men is
Where were these teachers when I was in school?
yes, that is exactly what I was going to say. That's not what my gym teacher looked like this, and it shows like this butch,
Yep.
you know, manly gym teacher or whatever. And it's like, why is that the response? Why is it okay for a woman to take advantage of a young male, but it's not okay for a male to take advantage of a young female? Like, why are those treated differently, and why is one excused?
Maybe because we feel protective over our girls more than our boys. I don't know. There's it's sort of in our society
Yeah,
that, a girl at that age would be a victim of something, whereas a boy, that would be some sort of conquest.
right. But why? Why
I
is that?
don't
And
know.
do you feel like if your 16-year-old boy was assaulted by a grown teacher, a 36-year-old teacher, would you pat him on the back and be like, "Good job, son"? How would
Now
you
that
feel about
you
that?
now that you put it like that, and I picture, like, my nephew having this happen, I'd be conflicted for sure.
Yeah,
Because as an adult, I would know the difference between the mental faculties of a 35-year-old teacher and a
right,
16-year-old kid. But, yeah, when I think about it in terms of someone I don't know or myself, like 1996, I would have thought that was incredible. But
right,
it probably would have messed me up a little bit too, because that would have been one of my first sexual experiences.
right. So then, like, what does the rest of your sexual experiences look like if you've already been fucking a
Yeah,
36-year-old woman?
yeah, yeah.
You don't get to have
Really know where to
real
go from there.
like, the awkward, like, you don't get to have the real
Yeah.
experience of growing into your sexuality, like, okay, so Chris says, "Those numbers aren't good in case someone is bad at math." I really, like, just don't even know what to say to that. Joey said, "Woman teacher molests teen boy is just as bad as male teacher molests girl." I agree wholeheartedly. Like, I almost feel like it's worse, and I'll explain why after I go through these, chats. It wasn't 1 in 10 when I was in high school because I was looking for it and never had that checked on my porn bingo card. Joey said, "Throw them all in the chipper."
Just to be safe.
Chris said, "Now when I go to the high schools, it's ground open, up, ground up
Frowned
on,
upon is what he was going for there. I
frowned
text with Chris
upon."
daily. That's what he means. It's frowned upon.
He said, "How big are her tits?"
I do get more pissed the hotter these teachers are. I'm like, God, really?
Joey said, "If I had a son and a female teacher pulled that shit, I'd probably go to prison. Touch my kids. If I have any, I'll send you straight to meet your maker for sure." Um, so God, I'm trying to think of how I want to word this because in my head it sounds right, but I think if I convey it, it's not going to come across the way that I feel about it. So, let's say that this is my son, right? Finnegan is 16 years old. I find out that his 36-year-old teacher molested him or
Which is what
even
it is.
consensual sex. Like she's manipulated him through power, right? To and
Yeah, they're always buying them vapes and Subway sandwiches.
right. So females are nurturers, right? Like that's their job
Mhm.
in society,
Boy, that is a
right?
real
So
violation.
females have the ability to manipulate that to their advantage more, I think, than men.
Mhm.
Men, it's predatory, right? Like you're being predatory on a child. Whereas a female, you're just, and then feelings get in the way and then
The
now
guard
you
is down. A
right,
male teacher approaches a female student, the guard is up.
right. Male student approaches female teacher, their guard is down because that's a nurturing person for them. for a
Mhm.
female to take advantage of that, in my opinion, it's worse. Like, it's you took advantage of the vulnerable side of a child. Like, you didn't do what you were supposed to do. You manipulated that child even more
Do
because you
you
could.
do you think these female teachers swear they're in love with these boys and move in with them if they can, just because that's the only way they're not a monster as a woman?
Maybe. I don't know. I don't know if there's a part of them that doesn't believe it because they're so insecure in their life that the only love that they can find is through a 16-year-old.
They need that, fixation of a
Yeah.
teenager to
Yep.
constantly hold them up. Yeah.
Yes.
They need someone to worship them. It's not enough to be liked or accepted.
Right. Uh Chris said that makes the difference if it's assault. Oh, how big her tits are.
Yep.
You're looking through a woman's eyes. That's because I'm a woman. Dudes are different, or I was. Heather, you're not manipulating a 16-year-old boy. He is different than a 16-year-old girl. It's control. Joey said, "Isn't that what Mary Kay
Mhm.
Letourneau did?
Yep.
They're scared of men. Women are scared of men. These women, the manipulators." Exactly, Chris. Boys are looking for hormonal release. Girls are looking for relationships. I don't know. Like, I think that's a good debate topic. Like, is
I
it
guess,
different?
men are the protectors. It's clearly a violation if a man does that. Maybe people don't see the violation that you're seeing with, a woman's role in society.
Right. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Finn as a 16-year-old should be fucking his
If you
36-year-old
ask
partner.
most 16-year-old boys, I mean, yeah, they, you know.
So then that begs the other question. The argument is that mentally boys have not mentally developed as quickly as girls do. So at the age of 16, a female is more mentally developed than a boy.
And I don't think a boy is much more mentally developed at 21 than he is at 16.
I can't speak to that because I'm not a boy, um but if that's the case, if that's true, then the female would be making a more informed decision with that than the boy would,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Chris said they're probably super codependent.
have to be.
The women, right?
And that's why they get caught via text probably. There's hundreds and hundreds of text messages because they need that.
Yeah, they need that constant validation. Um, okay. So since we're on the subject of the LGBTQ stuff, the Tennessee bill that was banning drag shows in front of children was just ruled unconstitutional by a federal judge.
Hmm.
So the
That doesn't
Tennessee
seem
law that
right.
prohibits drag shows in front of children is unconstitutional. The Adult Entertainment Act is the name of the law. It said it's both unconstitutionally vague and substantially overbroad.
How
This
is it
was,
vague?
yeah, this was Judge Thomas Parker, who is a Trump appointee, mind you.
What?
It says the law makes it a criminal offense for a person to perform adult cabaret entertainment on public property or in a place where it could be viewed by a minor. Adult
Mhm.
cabaret entertainment is defined in the law as shows featuring strippers, men dressed as women, or similar entertainers.
Yep, not vague.
The law was signed by Republican Tennessee Governor Bill Lee on March 2nd after being approved by the state legislature. However, before it took effect, Parker temporarily blocked it after finding that the law was, quote, likely both vague and broad. He ruled the law violated the constitutional rights of Friends of George's, which is a theater company that holds drag shows in Memphis and allows children to attend. even though the nonprofit acknowledged that its performances could contain sexual content comparable to what would warrant a PG-13 rating in a movie.
Yeah, see,
One,
that's what we're saying. That's what this whole thing is. We're not doing that anymore. So
yeah,
the fact that yeah, I guess it is a violation of the thing that we're saying we're not doing anymore.
yeah. What I think is so it said Parker zeroed in on the standard outlined for quote harmful to minors, which is so defined in the Tennessee Criminal Code as that quality of any description or representation in whatever form of nudity, sexual excitement, sexual conduct, excess violence, or sadomasochistic abuse when the matter or performance would be well, we're not going to go through all that in the legal speak, but my question is when you're talking about this, who are the people who number 1 are taking their children to drag shows? And number 2,
That's what I want to know.
who are the people who are fighting to perform in front of children at drag shows? Those 2 people, I want to see your fucking hard drive.
Yeah. Yeah, because those are pedophiles.
Like
Those are pedophiles.
I watched like you
Talk about unfit.
These videos are countless where you're seeing these half naked men who are dressed as women in drag
Mhm.
and they're getting money put into a G string or a garter belt by a
5-year-old.
fucking 5-year-old child. And the mom is in the background with her phone, like,
Look how progressive I am. I'm gonna get so many likes. That's what it's about for these moms, I think.
you're right. But there are dads there too.
That's a mind blower. That
Like,
any dad, even one, would show up to this.
oh, it's on my other computer. Next week, I'll have a video for you guys to watch. It looks like maybe like a mom's day out kind of like daycare facility type thing. And there are blankets like all around the room and some tables and stuff. And there's moms and dads and they're sitting there with their kids and it literally looks like a daycare where you just had and there is a drag queen something that are
Person.
it is like he's like upside down with his legs spread and like
Yikes.
it's fucking wild. And I'm sitting here looking at this video and these parents are lapping it up. There's a man sitting Indian style on the floor with his son watching this happen and I'm like,
what the fuck is wrong with you?
why are you doing this? Like, and don't get me wrong. I want to like be really clear to the audience, the people who go and listen to the replay. I have nothing against drag queens. If you
No.
want to perform and you want to dress up in drag and you want to be a drag performer, I support you. And I've been to drag shows and I wish you the best and I hope you do a great job and get lots of money next week or whatever.
I went to a drag bar once. It was a blast.
So much
But it's
fun.
not a
Such
place
a
for
great time.
kids.
Yes. But that is not where you take your child. Like that's not the vibe. That's not the jam. Like you should be going to Disney on Ice.
Yeah,
Not
what the fuck happened to Teletubbies? Are they on strike?
no, but they're still creepy as fuck. So we maybe don't need to watch them either. But that big sun that comes up in the background, I swear to God, I think they're on crack when they made that show. That show and Yo Gabba Gabba.
Oh, my daughter loved Yo Gabba Gabba.
Yeah, so did Ainsley. She dressed up as Broby when she was 3 years old for Halloween. And oh God, she was so cute. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna go through these chats real quick. Jake said, if it's a woman sleeping with a boy is definitely an abuse of authority. I'm not saying it's excusable, just different. Chris said, but in reality, there shouldn't be no fucking go on ever. Yes, I agree. Maybe some math. Yes. Reading, try that shit out. Can you say
Or
your
history.
ABCs?
It would be good to learn some history.
White liberal women, pedos.
They are a
Those
real
aren't
problem in
fathers,
this
those are
country.
bitch boys. They ask their wife what they're doing tomorrow. They tell their wife what's for dinner. I ain't talking about after a fight. I mean regular days. Yo Gabba Gabba was the creepiest. Told kid he couldn't watch it anymore.
It was just weird creatures playing instruments, if I recall.
Yes. Hold on. There's two more things that I want to talk about, and I still want to do two truths and a lie
Whoa,
because we
should
didn't
say
do it last week.
44.
This show went by fast tonight.
Yeah.
Okay. YouTube reverses its policy on censoring claims of stolen 2020 election. Do you guys know
Ooh.
that my Shouse in the House podcast got shut down for 2 weeks, demonetized for 3 months, and had a strike on it for 4 months because of this policy? I had on
Interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy. So, okay, let's go into some of the details real quick. YouTube announced it's doing a U-turn on censoring content about US elections, with the platform saying it will no
Hmm.
longer delete posts questioning the results of the 2020 presidential election,
Hmm.
including claims of widespread voter fraud. The company
about
made the announcement in a blog post on Friday, which comes about 2 months after it reinstated former President Donald Trump's YouTube account, which I didn't know that they reinstated him.
No.
Trump's account on YouTube was suspended. YouTube established its elections misinformation policy in December of 2020, and on Friday said that in the time since it was imposed, the company had removed tens of thousands of videos. Mine
That
is one
sounds
of
about
them. I
right.
cannot put it back on YouTube. We carefully deliberated this change, citing a changed landscape in which the 2024 election campaign is in full swing, and that removing election related content could stifle political speech. So I honestly
Oh,
believe 100% that this is a credit to Elon Musk. You have,
absolutely.
yeah, you have a true free speech platform. Well,
To a degree.
yeah, I mean, the
More
Daily
than it
Wire
was.
debacle earlier this week was pretty like on the nose, had to get it fixed, had to get that stupid bitch out of there that was fucking censoring people still. But there is no way that without Elon Musk purchasing YouTube, or I'm sorry, Twitter,
Twitter?
that YouTube would have ever reversed this policy.
No.
No way.
He should buy YouTube next.
No. What I want him to do is I want him to fucking put YouTube out of business. I want him to open up Vine, which will put
That'd be great.
TikTok out of business.
It
And
would.
I
Vine would
which I
kill TikTok in an afternoon.
Yep. And then I want him to reopen Periscope, which is Twitter's live. Yeah.
Ooh. I
It's
remember
still active.
Periscope.
So like right now, when you stream to Twitter from StreamYard, you're actually still streaming through Periscope
Oh.
to Twitter. A lot of
That
people
was
don't
the
know that.
first. That was the first like live look-in stream
Yes.
option.
And they still have it. He owns it and it's still available. So my guess is on the back end, before Tucker Carlson's show comes out, he's tweaking the mechanisms of
Yep.
Periscope. So if he reopens Vine, he reopens Periscope, fucking TikTok and YouTube are going to plummet. And I am so here for it. So here for it.
Yeah. That'd be fantastic.
And then the other thing that I wanted to talk about. So did you see that the House Oversight Committee had requested there was a form? It's called an FD 1023, which
Sounds
supposedly contains uncorroborated allegations that Joe Biden, while serving as vice president, engaged in a bribery conspiracy to alter U.S. policy in exchange for monetary gain for his family's business. The FBI has had this the entire time. They won't turn the document over to the Oversight Committee. They're only allowing them to come to a skiff and view it. but they have finally committed to doing so this week.
A skiff? We gotta go on
Yeah.
a boat?
No, it's like a secure location where you can view documents where it's like soundproof. Like nothing works inside of it.
Okay.
So you
So
can't like record, you can't take pictures, none of that stuff. You have to surrender your phone before you go in there. It's a completely secure location.
so they see it. They now have the information. Why not just give them the information? Is it any less valid? Like, can they not go to a court and say, I saw this and have that count as testimony?
Well, I mean, it's just the House Oversight Committee. There's no real legal ramifications from this. This would have to be the Department of Justice that files charges based off of the information. But the FBI is not like saying, okay, we have enough proof here, DOJ, bring charges
Yikes.
against the former president. I mean, they could probably use it as an impeachable offense if they wanted to go through an impeachment process. The question is, do they want to do that in an election cycle?
Impeachment is like racism. It just doesn't even mean anything
It has
anymore.
no value anymore. Again, another thing that they've completely destroyed.
It's a big deal. Like when I was a kid, I heard that Nixon got impeached, and that was like
Yep.
the fucking worst.
Right.
And now
And Bill
everybody gets
Clinton.
impeached and
Yeah.
recalled. It's like, oh, no big deal.
Yeah. It sucks. Okay. We are going to do two truths and a lie.
Drugs.
Drugs. I don't have any drugs. So no,
That's good.
not that today.
You're a good mom.
We're going to do two truths and a lie. I'm kind of nervous because I'm afraid that you guys are going to know one of these.
Mm.
And I got kicked out. Hang on.
Yep, you'll have that.
Okay. Are you guys ready? Everyone paying
All
attention.
right.
Gotta check Rumble. Nobody's been chatting on Rumble tonight, just people watching. So thank you for tuning in on Rumble, even though you are not speaking. I see you watching. I love you guys. Thanks for hanging out with us. Okay. She doesn't have them because she's out. Who doesn't have what? Oh, drugs. I'm out of drugs. I don't have any.
There
I don't
you
have
go.
any gummies. Look, see?
See? Put it together.
Got it. Okay, ready? Two truths and a lie. If
Okay.
you are tuning in and this is your first time tuning in, this is my mom finger. You're not allowed to cheat and go to the Google machine. You have to just listen and guess. We're getting close. We have about another 3 to 4 weeks away from our first drawing for
And it
the
will have been a
individual who
quarter.
has the most points for two truths and a lie. And I need to do I probably next week I will have a recap of where the scores stand with everyone who participates and between Chris and Eric themselves. Sensitive compartmented information. Oh, yeah, that's what a skiff is. I apologize.
Oh. Sensitive compartment.
Okay. Story number 1.
Not SKIFF. That's what I was thinking.
Oh, gotcha. Story number 1. Government introduces National Laughing Day to boost public happiness. In a
It's the best
surprising move aimed at promoting national well-being, the government has announced the introduction of National Laughing Day as an official holiday. Recognizing the power of laughter in improving mental health and fostering social connections, the initiative aims to encourage people across the country to engage in joyful activities and spread laughter. On this special day, citizens are encouraged to participate in community laughter events, including comedy shows, and share jokes with friends and family. The government plans to partner with renowned comedians and entertainers to organize laughter workshops and festivals, along with nationwide comedy competitions. Next one. Oops. Story number 2. A woman taking a Memorial Day weekend stroll on a California beach found something unusual sticking out of the sand. A tooth.
A human foot.
A
No.
tooth from an ancient mastodon.
Whoa.
Mastodon. The fossil vanished. It took a media blitz and a kind-hearted jogger to find it again. Jennifer Shue found the foot-long tooth sticking out of the sand on Friday at the mouth of Aptos Creek
Big fucking
in
tooth.
Rio Del Mar State Beach, located off of Monterey Bay in Santa Cruz, California.
I was
Story
about to
number-
Google how long is a mastodon tooth, but I realized that's against the rules.
Story number 3. A government official in India has been suspended from his job after he ordered a water reservoir to be drained so he could retrieve his smartphone, which he had dropped while taking a selfie.
Was that
Food
the dog?
Inspector
Did I
Rajesh
not pick that up?
Vishwas dropped his Samsung smartphone in the dam in central Indian territory of Chhattisgarh last week, the Times of India newspaper reported. Over the next 3 days, more than 2 million liters of water were pumped out from the reservoir, which is enough to irrigate at least 1,500 acres of land during India's scorching summer, local media reported. Which story is the lie?
I think the National Laughing Day one.
Okay.
That's. I feel like I would have heard if government got off for laughing. Also, comedy's borderline illegal. Yep.
Lexi
They
says
don't want
number
anyone
one.
to be
Joey
happy.
says number one. Dun, dun, dun. Who else
don't
is in
want-
here? That might be it. Joey, Lexi, Jake. 3. India wouldn't care about a
You know
phone
what?
dropped in water.
A guy in India probably has a Huawei phone. Now that I think about it. No, I'm sticking with 1.
Number 1 all day. Jake says number 1. Chris, I need you to chime in.
Number 3. That is a pretty crazy story. Do they not have scuba gear in India?
3 days, 2 million liters of water were emptied.
Where are these skiffs? Are they just like out in the middle of nowhere in Nebraska? Like there's just a
No,
door
they're usually
in the middle
in
of a cornfield.
the Department of Defense, in the Pentagon.
Uh,
And Congress has them too.
Did you see a little Cessna flew through DC airspace today? They scrambled a
No.
couple F-16s, and then it crashed. I don't know if it was. First, I read a report that possibly the
F-16 shot
pilot,
it out of the air.
and the passengers, something, whatever happens to you up there, and then they passed out and it flew on autopilot till it crashed. Then somebody said nobody was in it. It was being remote controlled. So who knows? We'll
I
get
did see
conflicting
that
reports.
150 flights were grounded today with American Airlines because they don't have enough pilots to man them. Could be a good career choice for anybody that's looking for one. Okay, 2 truths and a lie. Number 1 is a lie. Chris did not participate, so Eric automatically gets a win on him. So I gave as much time as I could.
Win by
We have-
default. I will take it.
Parting thoughts before we end the show, Eric. Do you have anything you want to say to the people?
No, just be nice. About to enter another week. Just be nice when you have the option.
Now
he's in
Chris
under the
says
wire
number
to
1. Oh, okay. Audience and Eric, you guys vote. I'm not going to be the one to say so.
Chris is one of the most honest people I've ever met in my life. So
Okay. Then we'll give
so
it
there
to
was
him.
an air defense exercise in the military, went supersonic. Yeah. There was 2 or 3 supersonic booms from the F-16s going over DC. People freaked
Wow, that's
out.
crazy. All right, we'll give it to Chris. He gets to count it. So you guys tied up tonight. I'll give a report next week as to who has what scores. With that being said, I'm going to end the show this evening. You guys take care and have a wonderful week. Dun, 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 dun.